Many have tried and many have failed to eliminate one aspect of the majority of battle royales. Boring transportation. Don't get me wrong, one of my favorite things about PUBG, and frankly any battle royale, are the things that can happen when you're driving vehicles. But it's only really interesting when another person is driving and they try and beat you to the circle and the whole thing turns into a gunfight and it's awesome. What about those times when only you have the vehicle? You drive to the circle, and wait, and wait, and then you get sniped in the face for like the 20th time? I think that a game called Ring of Elysium finally beats this problem. Ow! Ow!
Calvin just ate it.
The basis of the game is throwing snowboards, gliders, and zip lines into a game mode that's similar to the classic Battle Royale, but it has a few twists. On paper, this concept sounds really fun, but also really game-breaking at the same time. Surprisingly, it manages to work out really well. Now, it would be a little insane if everyone got a glider, a snowboard, and was able to use the zip lines, but luckily, that's not the case. Before the game starts, there's a short pre-game lobby where everyone gets to choose where they spawn and they get to choose a class. The first thing I want to point out is the spawn system. As much as I like skydiving, I think the system has a much more practical sense to it, and it seems to favor strategy over randomness. The fact you can see where everyone else is going to be allows you to prepare for a fight so you're not caught off guard, and it gives you plenty of time to make a last-second decision as to where you want to go and how many people you want to be facing. Next, we have the classes. You can choose from either a glider, snowboard, or a zipline/climbing kit. The glider, my personal favorite, really favors players who have the high ground. You can ambush people by gliding over them and shooting an SMG from the glider, or you can escape any unsafe situation as long as you're on top of a mountain. The zipline and climbing kit is based more around strategic gameplay, like trying to find the best possible route you can take on the ziplines to stay in the safe zones and gain the best position. It's also great for the players who like to face a ton of enemies when they spawn in, because it's the only one that comes with a starting shotgun, instead of the other kits that only have pistols. It can really give you an advantage if you can't find a weapon in time. Lastly, the snowboard. It's an all-around kit that's useful in really any situation, mainly for making quick escapes though. It's probably the best choice if you want to eliminate all boring transportation. Ring of Elysium kind of strays away from the classic Battle Royale. Instead of being a free-for-all with a giant death circle, it's more of an objective-based Battle Royale, and the objective of the game is to escape the storm that is now hitting your town. You brawl it out with your neighbors to claim a seat on a helicopter that will eventually make its way to the town and in-game. And the fact that everyone gets a transportation style to their liking makes the game much more entertaining. I really like how they're straying away from the classic Battle Royale. Not that there's any major thing wrong with it, it just seemed a little aimless. But this mode does bring its own problems. There are only 4 seats in the helicopter. What is a squad of 4 gonna do when there's only 1 seat left? As of now, there's no team killing, and even if there was, I don't know if it would make things better and more dynamic, or worse because of the fact you have to betray your own team and claim a seat on the helicopter for yourself. And in solos, for some reason people will try and shoot at you anyways, even if there's still enough seats for everyone. If the developers can find a workaround to these problems, I'm all for this game mode. Even though it has flaws, I really like the objective-based gameplay instead of deathmatch with circle. There were a few things about the game that really stood out to me, and while I was playing for the first time, most of my thoughts were, why isn't insert mechanic here in PUBG? I feel like the developers played PUBG and thought, how can we make this better? And they did. They made it much better. A few examples would be the quick transportation given to any player. This eliminates the amount of running you have to do in PUBG. Another example would be that you can quick switch sights and scopes with one button instead of having to go into your inventory and drag it onto your gun. There's also an auto-equip system that will automatically equip the attachments that you pick up, making it much less of a hassle. Even the gunplay itself feels much more tight and arcadey, while maintaining a hardcore battle royale feel. All in all, there are so many quality of life improvements compared to a lot of the battle royale games out there. Of course, this is an early access game. It's definitely not perfect, and it is kind of poorly optimized, and I'm not sure what some of the graphic settings do. Also, when I set the graphics to low, my reticle texture gets blurry, and it'd be great if there was an option to make the reticle texture quality independent of the overall texture quality, so that there's more of a precise crosshair when I'm using low graphics. One good thing is that the developers are paying a ton of attention to the game. They're updating the game frequently, and they're even taking player suggestions from the Steam discussions. I think this is awesome, and if they keep it up, they'll have a great game on their hands with a very large player base. To sum it up, I think Ring of Elysium is a really fun game and has easily become one of my favorite battle royales, if not my top favorite. With quite a bit of polishing, this game could be amazing, so I can't wait to see where the developers take it. And that concludes the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider subscribing, because I mostly post reviews like this one on my channel about random indie games and such, and I hope to have more variety in my content soon. Also, I'd like to thank God of Madness 1 for requesting this video, sorry it took so long, and for all the kind and constructive feedback on the last video. I really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.